So the first way that I've found to be a mini activist is to read a book about veganism in public. I have this book, and I also have cookbooks, uh, and reading something like that in public. Well, maybe not a cookbook. I mean, unless you're into that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't read that in public. But one time I was reading the bodybuilding book in public, and somebody asked me about it, and they were just curious about how a vegan could be a bodybuilder, because they thought of, vegans as like not being able to get enough protein or not having enough nutrients. So to see a vegan be a bodybuilder and have muscle was surprising to them. And so if you read something about veganism in general, um, people might ask you about it, and if they're the ones asking you about it, then it's not like you're shoving it down their throat or anything like that. Um, it's a good way to expose people to veganism and to get people thinking about it, and they can just come up and ask you if they want. So my next way of being a vegan mini activist is kind of the same as the first one, but it's a little bit different. It's just to wear something that says vegan on it, like a bracelet or a t-shirt, or carry a bag that says it. I have this, and by wearing something like that, it's a way to let people know that you're a vegan in a subtle way, so you're not being confrontational, so they don't have to get defensive about it. And so some people might still get defensive, but whatever. It's just a very simple way of letting people know, and if they have any curiosities, they can ask you. And they might also realize that if they don't know any other vegans, they might realize that vegans could be somebody that they're friends with, and they're not all weird hippies or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with hippies, but some people don't like hippies. So my third way to be a mini activist is to have vegan food with you, like eat it around people and share it. And if there's like a party or something where you're supposed to bring your own food, then you can bring vegan food there and share it with people. And if you know any good recipes, you can share it with your friends. You can cook for them. You can cook for family members. You can just cook delicious vegan food and show people that vegan food isn't disgusting. It's not weird. Also, if you have a birthday party or something like that where you can have a vegan cake, you can also do that to show people that you can still have cake, you can still have cupcakes, you can still have a pie, you can still do the same things that you used to do, but just with different ingredients. So my fourth way of being a mini activist might not be so mini, but I think you probably should do it anyway, just because it's good for you to know, and it's good for other people to know. The fourth way is to educate yourself about what happens to animals in all the various things, like the meat industry, the dairy industry, egg industry, animal testing, things like wool, honey. Just learn all about that, not all at once, but learn as much as you can over time, so that eventually you'll know most of it, and then you can educate people. For example, my grandma was talking to me about wool. She was saying how it's just like a haircut, and I didn't really know what to say to that, so I looked it up and I learned about it, and I corrected her and told her all about what's wrong with wool and why you shouldn't use wool, and how it's cruel and it's not like a haircut. And basically, by educating yourself about all the various things, you will be able to respond to people when they say something that's ignorant. So if they just don't know anything about what actually happens to the animals, because there's a lot of, I guess you could call it propaganda, you can combat that by listening out for when people are talking about what happens to animals, and then if they're saying something that's incorrect, then you'll know better and you can correct them. So the final tip is for anyone who likes to respond to people on things like YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. And this tip doesn't work all the time, but it can work sometimes depending on what you're talking about, who you're talking to, and how you're saying it. So my final tip is to leave vegan out of your username. And the reason for that is sometimes because of something called outgroup bias. Basically, people will see you as the outgroup. If you call yourself a vegan, they'll think that you're crazy, irrational, extreme, and they won't be open to what you're saying. But if you don't tell them that you're a vegan and you just say things in a sort of ambiguous way, but still kind of correcting what they're saying, then they'll be a little bit more open to what you're saying, and they won't be as defensive. So in summary, the 5 ways of being a mini vegan activist are to wear something that says vegan on it, read a book about veganism in public, share your vegan food with friends and family and whatever, educate yourself, and share that knowledge with other people and correct people. And the 5th way is to leave vegan out of your username so that people will be a bit more open to what you're saying.